Hey everybody, welcome back to Gen X Nation. I'm gonna get right on to it. Happy Saturday, happy holidays to everyone. I know I've been out for a while again. I like to take time off, take a little vacation, and relax myself. I'm getting up there in age. I am a Gen Xer after all. With that being said, everything on my page is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about in this giving season, as a lot of these churches used to say. Usually say, I want to talk a little bit about the churches. One pastor in particular, again, don't know this man personally. I've seen his churches, some of his recordings on YouTube. I've scanned through them over the time, but I noticed something about him. He seems to be very, very charismatic. He knows how to get his audience in his church, his parishioners, congregation riled up over some of the simplest things. But I kind of look at pastors in a different light because I grew up old school church. I'm not used to all these new mega churches and big size churches, which is great. I went to a semi big church, and I will say, living down here in the Bible Belt, this past year has been hard on some churches. I mean, every size church, mostly the bigger churches. Everybody had a scandal down here. I'm not going to go into details because then people are, accusing pastors of doing certain things. Some of these cases I think are still pending, but there has been a lot of scandals in some pretty large churches. And you can Google scandal in churches in the South or whatever, and I'm sure a lot of them will come up. Without any further ado, I'm going to talk about a guy named Pastor Keon. You all may know him as he is the husband of Shawnee O'Neal. Don't hate the guy. Never been to his church. Only watched it on TV. I don't mean this to be offensive to anybody. I don't mean to disrespect the pastor. But as a Gen X person, like we say, we call it how we see it, okay? We the ones that disappeared till the street lights came on, rode our bikes about 20 miles a day, drank out of water hoses. So we built for this, all right? Without further ado, there was a situation back in Houston, back this early, late summer, where they had, I don't know, a hurricane or some really bad flooding. I think it was a hurricane and then some flooding after that. And this man came on and asked 2,100 of his parishioners to send $2,100. And I mean, it was all over the internet and social media. People were just getting down on him about that because his church had got damaged during the storm. Well, Pastor Keon kind of double back later on, but I want you guys to kind of listen to what he actually said.
2,100 people, $2,100, 21 days to kickstart our efforts to get back into our building. We're not waiting on the insurance company to tell us when and where.
Now, after he said that, and the internet streets ate him up, I guess they started saying things. Well, I ain't gonna say ate him up, that's a nasty word. But they started saying things about this pastor, like, hey, don't you have insurance? Because that's the first thing I thought. I mean, I own a home. I mean, and I know I have to, pay homeowners insurance every month along with my mortgage. So I'm confused why a big old mega church like that didn't have an insurance, some type of insurance policy. I don't know if the insurance companies were going to be a little slow and doing claims because of the large amount of claims, but you should not have been asking these people for $4 million because that's what it came out to. So he went back and recanted it and said, well, you don't have to give 2,100. Give what you can. We just want to get our church built faster. I may have misspoken. He tried to clean up a little bit because it did sound bad. Now, keep in mind, over the years, we have seen pastors ask for private jets and different things of that nature. So, you kind of get skeptical. These mega churches, I'm confused. At the point as my video is titled, are these mega churches or is this just a mega lottery? Because it seems like these people are just taking that hope and that dream of that Christian or that person who's faithful to the church and doing what they're supposed to do, believing in the Bible, believing what God has intended their purpose is on earth, and you're manipulating them and taking advantage of that person. And all they want to do is live a good life and live their life right so they can get to heaven or something, or wherever they may be heading to, the pearly gates or whatever. And I think it's really sad to take advantage of people who really have good intentions and want to come to church and just really enjoy being there. And like I said, I'm down here in this Bible Belt, and trust me, I've seen some things at some churches. Oh, so I kind of let that slide. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to let this one go. He made a mistake, he misspoke. Then later on, he started telling us we shouldn't give to the poor. And I found that to be very, very odd. And he tried to clean it up in his sermon, but he basically said you shouldn't give to the poor because you don't get anything in return, but maybe your money back or nothing at all. But if you give to the church, again, you're going to get it back tenfold. You sow the seeds, you're going to get it back tenfold. God is going to bless you. Every mega church tells you that same sermon. I do not like prosperity churches. I cannot tell you how many times I went to a church and I heard that sermon and I said, okay, I'll give them a second chance. And I heard that sermon again. And a third chance, I heard it again and I never went back. Again, I live in the Bible Belt. There's a church on every corner. But if I come to your church and all you telling me is about how much money I'm going to make if I tithe and give offerings and God's going to, send me something back or give me a new house or pay all my bills or I get a check in the mail out of nowhere or I'm going to get it back tenfold or I'm going to be able to pay cash for this or open a new business, I'm out of there because I know how to do all of those things on my own. Okay? I don't need you, and I'm not saying I don't need spiritual guidance. I don't need God to bless my home. I'm not saying that God has not blessed me with certain things, but I don't need the pastor, honestly, to tell me that if I want to start a business or if I want to make $1 million out of $100, I go to a financial advisor for that. That's what they do. God has given them the gift to show me how to transfer my money into double and triple and quadruple my money. If I want to buy a house or a business, I go to a bank, a loan officer, a mortgage person, a real estate person. God has blessed them with the talent to show me how to do that. I'm not saying pastors aren't familiar with that because they may work in that industry, but don't just tell me if I give you some money, I'm going to get a house, a car, and all this in return. People have to stop. You got to stop doing that. I'm not saying don't pay your tithes. If you believe in tithing, tithe. If you believe in offering, do your offering. I'm not saying don't do that. But stop thinking I'm giving something in church to get something back in return. That is not the purpose of you being in church, celebrating the Lord, celebrating Jesus Christ, coming together in fellowship with your brothers and sisters. That's not why you're there. It's not there to make money. Again, is this a mega church or did we hit the mega lottery? But if you think I'm lying, listen to what he said about giving to the poor.
Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something. The poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself. So when you give $1 to somebody on the street talking about I did my job, God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Read your Bible. Charity does not bring wealth. Only the tithe does that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to preach on it.
Now, as I stated before, I am a Christian and sometimes I'm a cussing Christian. But I can guarantee you the Bible does not say that you should not be helping the poor. Okay? I can quote a couple of scriptures that you can go to the Bible and read. And it kind of gives you an ideal of what God's vision of the poor is and how we are to help them. Proverbs 14:31 says, "Who oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God." I'm confused how he's coming off with don't help the poor, but give to church so you can get rich. Another one, Luke 14:12, when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Okay, and blessed doesn't mean money. Blessed could mean just what I'm saying. You could be blessed, meaning that, okay, your life may have a better turnaround than the direction that you're going. It could be just a new job you can get. that you've been applying for, or your car, you got a brand new car, you applied for a house, it came through. Blessings aren't always in a financial sense. I got hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but it could be something as simple as somebody seen you the other day and bought you a meal or a cup of coffee because they felt like, you deserve that, or took you out to dinner, or bought you some roses or some flowers, or a new watch, or a pair of earrings, or some shoes that you liked, or gave you a membership to a club you want to go to, or something. Blessing doesn't always mean your bank account is going to rise. It means that sometimes people just think enough about you to do something in honor of you. Could be a surprise birthday party. You could get an engagement ring. So don't always think that our blessings is always something that's monetary, okay? We go to Proverbs 19:17. Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. And that's just a few. There's a lot of scriptures about helping the poor. So I was a little confused when he said we get nothing from helping the poor. We may not get nothing back monetarily. I'm sure all of us have loaned family members money and never got it back. Or, you're driving down the street, you see a homeless person, you give them a few dollars. Or I've done this several times, especially this time of year, where I've paid it forward at the store, where I've, paid for the person groceries behind me, or in front of me, or, went to the drive-through and paid for the people behind me. And if you don't do that, try to do that. It's really a good thing to do. And it's a good way to start a chain of just helping people. So don't, for somebody to tell me not to help the poor because I don't get anything in return, you should never help to look for anything in return. I don't give $1 or $2 or $5 or $10 to somebody to help in return. Do you know how many times I get emails or text messages or something on Facebook? Hey, my son or my daughter is selling this for a fundraiser or this and that. And I just buy it. I may not use it. I may give it to somebody else. I may not eat the product, but I'll buy it just to support the person. I don't look for nothing back in return. It's just being nice, just being nice to mankind. The last thing I'm going to talk about is, again, is this the mega church or do we hit the mega millions? Now, keep in mind, it's Christmas season. And this particular comment, I cannot find it anymore on YouTube. I think he cut that part out. But there was a sermon, and in the beginning of it was about 2-3 weeks ago, he did a sermon, and he was talking about, it being Christmas season, and I think he cut it off because for some reason I don't hear it anymore. But I think there's a YouTuber somewhere out there that may have it. If they follow him, there's a lot of people that do commentary on this particular gentleman, but he said, now, if I'm not mistaken, don't go all out there spending all your money on Christmas gifts and going into debt for Christmas. Don't be going to Macy's and Neiman Marcus and running up your credit card bills. That's what he said. Because debt causes stress and it holds you in bondage because you keep owing people and owing people. But he said, what you could do is give your money to the church. Give it to God. God will give it back to you tenfold, basically. You will be able to pay cash for your house. You will be able to pay cash for your car. We don't want consumer debt. We don't want that. But, your mortgage and your house, which is good debt. We always say that. Everybody understands that you're going to have some debt more than likely, unless you're just filthy rich. But he said, don't do that. Give the money to the church. That was his thing. He said, give the money to the church and God will basically bless you. Again, they use this, your blessings are going to be abundant and all of that. And I'll say this again, no disrespect to pastors, no disrespect to mega churches. And if you belong to one, God bless you. Okay. I have been to several mega churches, and what I've learned, and I'm not saying I went to visit, I have been members of churches, and I won't say large congregations, say 5,000 or more. And what I've learned is I see a lot of times the pastors are standing on the pulpit, they Gucci down to the socks. Again, I'm not saying pastors don't have to dress nice. I'm not saying pastors don't have to have designer stuff. But if you're sitting here telling me, don't go out and buy me a designer purse or a nice pair of shoes, or don't give my kids a nice Christmas, give the money to you, and then God will bless me in abundance where I could buy a car for cash. I mean, I get that. We need a car, but Christmas is one day of year, one day of the year. And everybody out here knows that one day when you was a kid, and I don't care um, where you lived at, if your parents celebrated Christmas, because I get it, some people don't celebrate Christmas. But I know for me as a Gen Xer, when I went downstairs and it was seven of us. So imagine getting that one toy, that one special toy you wanted, and it was under that tree. That was the best day of your life. The best day of your life. And yes, it's a material thing. But I know deep down inside, your parents felt a certain way knowing they could give that to you. Don't take that joy from them. Sometimes it's not about the amount of money that you spend or the material thing. It's the day. It's being present. It's loving on your family, your children, your mother, your father, whoever, grandma, whoever you live with. So don't tell people don't get their kids a gift. It's just a day. And I get it. Christmas is a pagan holiday. I get all that. Nobody truly knows the day that Jesus was born. Let me clear that up before anybody come at me with that. But we as Christians acknowledge a day every year. On the same day we acknowledge his birth. That doesn't mean it's his birthday. He could have been born in September, August, June, March. We really don't know. But it's okay to take a day out of the year to acknowledge his birth, show some love to each other, and bring gifts, because the three wise men brought gifts to the manger when they heard that he was born. That's where a lot of that comes from. So it's okay. And I know we get a little bit out of our way. We're standing outside in long lines in the cold to buy that one toy for your kid. Now, hear me. If your kid ain't doing well in school, bringing home F, skipping school, ain't doing what he's supposed to do, then I'm not standing outside at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to buy him or her anything. I'll give you that. As a parent, I would not do it. But if you have a good, decent kid and he's doing what he's supposed to do, doesn't give you any problems, it's okay to make that one day out of the year a great day for them. And don't let nobody tell you, don't buy your son an Xbox 5 or PlayStation 5, whatever they call them. Give me the money. Give the money to the church. Absolutely not. Get your kid that toy if they need it, and let them. And you can't bring those memories and those moments back. Because as an adult to this day, I still remember coming down to that Christmas tree and opening up that box and seeing my little tape recorder. Some of y'all don't know what that is, but it was a little boom box. You put a cassette tape in. I wanted that thing so bad. I had a microphone, everything. I could sing in it, everything. I remember the day I came down the stairs. We lived in a 2-story house, had a little fireplace, whatever. We wasn't rich, but we was okay. Went down there, that bicycle, yellow bicycle, 10-speed. That's all I wanted. My daddy bought me a bicycle. It was yellow. That's what I remember. And I rode that bike all the time, all over town, because we rode bikes back then. We didn't have cars, but we rode our bikes all over town and enjoyed ourselves. You can't bring those days back. So make sure, if you don't do nothing else this holiday, make sure your kids are taken care of. If you have, and you can do it. And there's a lot of charities that hand things out, give people stuff for free, so you can make it a good day. But do not, in any circumstances whatsoever, neglect your children. Listen to somebody who stands in front of you in shirts that may cost $1,000, who lives in a house that costs $4 million. He's telling people, I need $4 million to rebuild my church, and you just bought a home that costs $4 million. That's the home that he lives in. It's a $4 million home. Okay? So keep that in mind. Don't stand on no pulpit preaching to me about how to spend my money. And I know you're mega rich and you can spend your money however you choose to spend it. I get that. But don't look down on your parishioners and tell them what to do with their money. When you're standing in there in the nicest high-end shoes, your wife, we all know who Shawnee Henderson is. I didn't even want to say her name. But we know Shawnee is not wearing nothing cheap. You're flying around in private jets. You got the best of the nicest cars. You got a driver. You're in a $4 million home. And you telling us don't give the poor people, give to you. Don't buy Christmas gifts for the children. Give it to the church. And I know the church means we're not stupid. However, if that's how you choose to live your life and that's how you choose to give, feel free to do so. I am not in any way telling you not to go to the church. I'm not telling you not to be a member of his church. I'm not telling you not to do as he say. I'm saying for me, as a person who grew up in Generation X time frame, I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to do it. And I can't see in no way, shape, and form or fashion that I would be in a church like that. And again, I've tried the mega churches. I have several of them. Right now, my goal is whatever happened to the small neighborhood churches with a few people, maybe 50 to 100, where everybody knew each other, or the pastor knew you and your family. He may stop by your house on Sunday and have dinner with you and your parents. And what happened to those churches? I know they didn't make millions of dollars then, but they seemed like they had more of a more homey vibe to it, and they were really honest. You really did learn the Bible. You had to go and recite stuff in front of the church, on your Easter plays and stuff. You went to Sunday school every morning. You had to know all the books of the Bible. But what happened to those churches? Because they seem to be gone by the wayside or struggling. Because everybody wants to be part of the new trend, the mega church. So people leave the small churches. So the small churches are struggling, and some of them may be closing down. I don't know. But we want to go to these mega churches where the pastor don't even know your first name. Don't know. And if you're not a member, they won't marry you. You can't have a funeral there. It's just weird. But we fall into that. And I will tell you, I was a victim. I wasn't in a mega church, but I went to a nice sized church. And it broke my heart when I had to walk away because of a scandal. And again, I didn't worship the pastor. I wasn't there for that. The pastor was a great pastor. The pastor taught me probably more than any other pastor that I had attended their service. But I didn't like the direction. I didn't want to be a part of what was going on there because it wasn't godly. And I know we make mistakes, and pastors are human. I understand they are human beings. I understand that they are tempted, but we still have to hold you to a little higher level as a pastor. We hold you to a higher standard. We hold teachers to a higher standard. We hold judges to a higher standard. We hold lawyers to a higher standard. There are people, police officers, there are people in society, by virtue of position, we have to hold you to a higher standard because somewhere along the line, you swore an oath somewhere. As a pastor, you swear an oath to God, so I expect more out of you. Now, we are born again and saved and baptized, but you are the leader. And you're supposed to be teaching us because Jesus already died for our sins. So you're supposed to be teaching us how to get to heaven, how to make sure that the sins that he died for is covered, how we need to repent, how we need to get our hearts right and our minds right. And that has nothing to do with the dollar because we all know ain't no banks in heaven. So I say that to say this. Are we doing mega churches or is it just the mega millions? I'm still trying to figure that out. Because prosperity churches are very slick. They will make you feel comfortable at home. The music's great. The church is beautiful. Everybody looking all nice and cute. They got all the staff welcoming you and all of that. And trust me, there's a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes. But if you walk into a church more than 3 times and all you ever hear is the following: sow a seed tenfold, you will be blessed, God will take care of you constantly, but they're not telling you how to live and maneuver life every day as a Christian, you need to think twice about being there. With that being said, again, this is Gen X Nation. I am Gen X. I am the water hose generation. I love being the water hose generation. And I know I've seen a lot, and a lot of times I may talk just a little bit too much, but I just wanted to make sure I get this out. Again, I am a Christian. I love churches, but I am thinking about going to more of a smaller, homey church when I can at least know who the pastor is, who his wife is, and wave and shake their hand on a daily basis. Again, if you like my channel, please subscribe. Please like my videos. I don't even care if you share them. And I do this for fun. I don't ask for money. I just enjoy talking about things that I see every day. And as you can see, some of it is just off the top of my head. I hope you guys have a nice day. Finish out your this beautiful Saturday. At least where I'm at, it's a beautiful day out. It's sunny. It's probably close to 70 degrees. And people are out lunching and brunching and Christmas shopping. I'm pretty much done with my Christmas shopping. Everything on my page, on my channel, is alleged and in my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. I repeat, alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. And with that, you guys go ahead and have a wonderful rest of your day. And this is Gen X Nation out.